Welcome to episode 128 of the Thunder Underground podcast. My name is Trent. I'm joined by Jason, and we've got a long haul here, I think.
Yeah, we do. It's our Rocklahoma review.
Right.
We got another one down. So, we're going to go over what we saw, what we did.
Right.
What we remember and what we don't remember.
Right. If this is your first time listening, we appreciate it. You can find us on soundcloud.com/thunder-underground and every Monday night on 102.7 WSNR. Stream there at 7 p.m. Central every Monday night. And we're also on YouTube at the Thunder Underground.
Definitely.
Like you said, Rocklahoma. If you're not familiar with it and you're listening to this, we appreciate you listening. Rocklahoma is a festival of music, of rock and roll, so to speak.
Yes.
Right? It started 10 years ago, so this is the 11th one. It started in 2007, and we've fortunately been able to make it to every single one of them.
Yes, we have.
This started as a 80s rock throwback festival, glam rock, and those kind of bands for the first 3 years, and in the fourth year it turned into a...
That's when it was good, man. They need to go back to that.
I don't know, man. Fucking A, man. They got Godsmack now.
Oh, shit. We're going to have some people pissed off at us. Guess what? We don't care.
Right.
Okay, anyways. We're sorry.
Look, I love it both ways, as you like to say.
Me too. Time. Oh, Jesus. Fuck off. Already. I'm going to fucking leave. You can do this by yourself.
Well, let's talk about this while we're here.
Okay.
The first 3 years were glam, and we went to all of them because that was our first love, so to speak, in the music world.
Yes, it was. It's what got us started in all this.
So it was great to go out and see. There's some of these bands that we had never got to see live, like Steelheart and Kix and so on. And there was tons of bands like Warrant and Poison and Skid Row and Ratt and whoever that we've seen tons of times.
Yeah. I never got to see Slaughter back in the day. Oh, no, we did, didn't we? Well, okay. Scratch that. I'm an idiot.
Okay.
Proceed.
Anyway. So, yeah, it was this great festival, and it was real successful the first 2 years, and the third year it kind of took a dive attendance-wise. So they made the change they had to keep this thing going. They were smart to do it.
That's right.
They still have, a few of those acts every year, and then they, of course, mixed in newer rock and different styles of hard rock and metal.
Yeah.
And it, makes for a good, diverse thing. And if you only like one type of music, then that sucks. But, hey, they've got M3 going now, and it seems to be doing well.
Yeah, go to that.
So there's a place for all this stuff. And, fortunately for us, regardless, Rocklahoma is basically in our backyard. It's under an hour drive from Broken Arrow. It's like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So you can't beat that for a festival of this size.
Oh, you can't. And, one thing we want to remember, yes, those are good times back then, when they did just the 80s metal and the glam kind of thing. And I love that stuff, and those were my favorite ones, but we have to remember something. Had it not changed and got a little bit more diverse, there wouldn't be anything. There'd be nothing. So, these things have to kind of happen sometimes.
And you know who one of the people to thank for that is? Jesse James Dupree.
You're damn right. And we'll get into that later.
So
I got some shit to say on that.
If you're a Seether fan, you probably wouldn't have seen Seether this year if it wasn't for Jesse James Dupree.
That's right. And
just throwing that in there.
That's exactly right.
But we'll get to that later.
Yes, we will.
But like you said, those were amazing times. And I will say, being that guy, that those were the best ones in my opinion, just because the atmosphere was so, it was different. It's great now and I love it.
Yes.
But it was just something about that, just being there with everybody that loved freaking Steelheart like me.
Yeah.
That just doesn't happen every day, okay?
Exactly. That first year was just the just the joy and the happiness of all that. I can't, it'll never be something that can be reproduced.
Right.
That's just a fact.
Yeah. And now, all these festivals cropped up after Rocklahoma are around the same time, and a lot of them, are run by the same company, and they have a lot of the same bands, and, there's some some stuff that's different about them, but there's tons of these festivals across the country. So if you're from far away, you don't need to come here like you did those first 3 years. But
That's right.
There are still a lot of people that do that. Like, some of our neighbors come from Toronto every year.
Yeah.
They camp next to us, and people come from all over the place because the big thing about Rocklahoma is the campground.
Yes.
And all these other festivals around the country. There's a couple of them. I know that Rock Fest in Wisconsin has a campground.
Mm-hmm.
But the majority of these things are like in the city. Like Rock on the Range is just in an arena in this, in a stadium in the city.
Yeah.
So it does not have that same atmosphere at all.
That's right.
So it's, it's a cool thing. I was talking to a guy that first night I was there that had went to Carolina Rebellion.
Okay.
He said he went out there because he thought the lineup was great, or he said the lineup was way better than Rocklahoma, but still, it's nowhere near as cool as Rocklahoma because of the fact that you go out here and camp for 6 or 7 nights.
Yeah.
And have a blast and see the same people every year. And
that's right. Yeah.
All that. Well, I mean, saying all that, this year lineup was really more diverse, I think, than ever. Which to me, I'm fine with that, and I think it's cool. And, even with it being more diverse, I liked a lot of the bands. I didn't like a lot of the bands, but hey, that happens even in the years where it's been even leaned heavier. I've never liked more than 50 or 60% of the bands, I don't think.
Exactly.
So it doesn't hurt my feelings that Taking Back Sunday or Pierce the Veil or whoever, 3 Days Grace, bands I don't care about are there because bands that I do love, like Blackstone Cherry or The Cult or Def Leppard or whoever are there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, everybody likes to jump on real quick about how, oh, the lineup sucks, or why do they, this band's a bunch of pussies, this band sucks, but you got to remember, yeah, but there's people out there that are really excited that this band's there.
Right. And
that's what's making this thing work. The inclusiveness of it. And
see, the last thing I ever want to do is see Taking Back Sunday.
That's right.
But it's extremely smart to have them there because
it is.
That's an audience that you might have brought kids in that would pay for one day to go see that band because they weren't coming to Oklahoma.
Yeah, exactly. And Taking Back Sunday just means I can go back to camp and have another couple of beers.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't bother me in the least.
Yeah, because even in the best lineups of all, there's several times where you go back to the campground and have some beers when a band you don't like playing.
No doubt, yeah.
Or you have the chance to walk over to another stage, like the Retrospect Stage or something, discover a band that you might not know about.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, the one thing that's hard to explain to people that haven't been, or like, why would you go if you only like a third of the bands or 25% of the bands or something? It's because what we just said about the campgrounds. That's the thing that, we've joked about it before, and I'm pretty serious when I say that I could dislike every band on the bill, and I'd probably still spend the money to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you have such a great time in the campgrounds, and there's so many people out there that we've cultivated friendships with from the very first year on, and you still meet new people every year that.
Exactly. And, there's all kinds of stuff camp, there's certain camps that are having parties. There's stages out there with bands playing. I mean, it's just, it's a no-brainer every year. Yeah. It really is.
Yep. Well, speaking of stages, Camp Jager kicked this thing off on Thursday, and this was their final year. And that's one of the big things of Rocklahoma that has always stood out to me is Camp Jager.
Yeah.
And how fun, because all these great memories you have of Rocklahoma usually stem from something in the campgrounds.
Yeah.
And a lot of times were spent, seeing bands at Camp Jager that you did know or that you didn't know. And they always have great lineups, and it's a fun time. Hey, that's where we discovered Scattered Hamlet.
I was about to say, that's where we saw Scattered Hamlet for the first time.
Yeah, and that was like a completely different lineup than they are now. Right?
Yeah.
That's how long ago it was.
Just Jode was there, I'm pretty sure.
But yeah, so to all those years that Stacy and Fred Foster put this thing on, a huge thank you from us, and I'm sure everybody else.
Yeah, much respect.
Yeah, and like this year, the day before the kickoff party. They had a barbecue over there, and so they're giving people food and drinks, and the day before they also provide you with music.
Gotta love that.
And they're still going to be out there, but they're just not doing the stage anymore. Yeah. So a huge thanks for all the years from us here at Thunder Underground.
Definitely.
And, so they might give a chance for someone else to step into that void. Because there's got to be something, because every year Sam McCaslin from Retrospect Records has used their stage for the Thursday pre-party with several of the bands on his bill.
That's right.
So it'll be interesting to see what he does with that next year.
Why don't you take it over? Be Camp Trent.
Okay. I have no desire to be in charge of anything at
Rocklahoma. Same here. Same here. I want the least amount of responsibility ever.
Right. It would be cool, but we'll leave that to the people with, discipline when they're out at Rocklahoma.
The only thing I want to be responsible for at Rocklahoma is pouring a lot of beer down my already bloated fucking physique. Okay, that's the only thing I want to fucking have to worry about at Rocklahoma.
Right. Well, Thursday we kicked this thing off. Well, earlier Thursday, I don't know if you were over there. I don't know where you were at, but me and Tracy walked over to Camp Corruption near Camp Jager, and they had a big fish fry.
Okay.
So thanks to them, Alan and Janelle, for putting that thing on and giving everybody a ton of fish.
Awesome.
So that was pretty awesome. Then after that, a few hours later was whenever Camp Jager kicked their stage off at 3 p.m. with Troy. And I know we're back at the campgrounds. I heard it. Jason Carroll sent a text and said, hey, these guys kick ass. We got over there, saw the very end of it.
Yeah.
So these guys kick ass, and if you want proof of that, I think we should play them right now.
Let's do it. We've got a song.
We do. This song is called The Reckoning by Troy, which is an acronym for the reality of yourself.
There you go.
They're out of Springfield, Missouri. Check this out.
Sent a letter to the county line saying give me a minute with my family and I, 'cause I never thought it'd turn out this way. Yeah, I was just a boy back then with a shoestring smile, a toy gun in hand, but I clung to every word he said. He spoke of things like compromise when the wage of war, not to stand and fight what it takes to live life right. Still I can see the look in his eyes when the judge yelled down 25 to life, saying boys, don't waste your time, freedom's yours and mine. Said it's been 10 years since they shot me dead, but I'm still right here, I will never back down. They gotta do one better if they think I'm gonna change, yeah. Now you see these scars and these prison bars never hold me back from the shooting stars, 'cause I am no man's slave. And then he cried, freedom, this is my reckoning. We go to see him from time to time. I wrote letters every summer to keep mama from crying, but we knew the end was near. 'Cause you can chain one man to 4 cold walls, but you can't chain down a spirit nor soul. Screaming, boys, I've done my time. Now we ride tonight, because it's been 10 years since they shot me dead, but I'm still right here, I will never back down. They gotta do one better if they think
There was Troy with The Reckoning out of Springfield, Missouri. Great band. They played, like we said, the kickoff party there at Camp Jager, and then they played the next day in the festival at the Retrospect Stage. These guys are going on tour, opening up for Skillet here pretty soon.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I know they did pretty well in the Metallica contest for the opening band thing. They got a lot of votes in that. Just a great band with a great sound. And what'd you think of that song?
I loved it. Yeah. It kind of had a modern octane-ish kind of thing going on, and then it like kicked in and got a lot heavier, and it had a great groove. So, I mean, these guys are going places.
Yeah, if you like that, you might like Jason Todd or Scott Bartlett from Saving Abel and Shinedown.
There you go.
And both those guys have been on our podcast.
That's right.
Just randomly throwing that plug in there. But yeah, Troy, check him out. You can find him on Facebook. It's at The Reality of Yourself. Easy enough to find.
Exactly.
Well, after them, I wrote this stuff down, but I can't remember exact orders. But we're just going to run through the bands we saw on Thursday.
Yes.
We kind of jumped back and forth between Camp Jager and Axis.
Yeah.
Where the other pre-party was going on. I know the first band we saw in Axis was Reliance Code.
Yes. And I mean, they turned in a great set.
Actually, it was Screaming Red Mutiny was first.
I was about to say, but I didn't want to. I just figured we'll just go over them. Reliance Code, I mean, these guys are just, on a skyrocket, and this is just another feather in their cap to have, and they turned in a blistering set, and I'm really proud and happy for these guys.
Yeah, that's a great point. Ever since we played their song, like, it's been a year and a half ago now.
Yeah.
And I believe Josh told me later that we were the first, anything, podcast or radio to play their song.
Yeah.
Which is very cool, I think.
That is very cool.
And they've, like you said, it's just been this steady climb, but it's been pretty quick.
Yes.
Quicker than a lot of bands. And, I'm proud to, have been here in the beginning and see where these guys go, and, to call these guys friends now and get to hang out with them and talk to them. And we've had them on the podcast as well. And like you said, it was just a great set, and I know that they turned a lot of people on to their music that might not have known about them before that, because there was a ton of people in there.
Yeah. And Josh sat kind of close to us during the whole thing, during the whole weekend.
Oh, right.
Because he was always coming back up after bands, and we were talking about bands and stuff.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Yeah, I ran into all 5 of those guys several times throughout the weekend.
Yeah.
So it was just cool to see them out there enjoying themselves. And, I assume if you're in a band and you get to stay the whole time, they had a prime slot. You play Thursday when everybody's out there ready to rock.
That's
Thursday
right.
evening. And then you got the whole rest of the time to just enjoy it like everybody else.
Exactly. Gotta love it.
Well, Screaming Red Mutiny was also there right at the beginning of this kickoff. I've talked about them on many occasions of how great a band this is, not just recorded, but also live. And, this new lineup they have is really gelled, and they sound great, and you can't say enough good things about all 4 of these guys and how they sound.
Yeah, I mean, to go with these guys have been through, and to just, pick up what seems like it's just seamless and just keep going. I mean, it's just commendable as fuck.
Yeah.
And, my heart goes out to these guys, and I'm just so glad that they're pushing through, and, that they're still making waves. It's a great thing.
Yeah. And I was talking to someone like towards the end of their set, and I can't even remember who it now was. It was probably, might have been you, or it could have been Jason or Tracy or someone. But, John Holata had such a unique bluesy metal sound.
Mm-hmm.
And they couldn't have got a better person to replace him than they did with Nick.
Yeah, definitely.
Because he's really filling that void perfectly. He's a great guitarist, and he's not compromising the sound that John Sprout and Anthony built.
That's right.
So, it's just really cool, that this is working the way that it is. And we've seen him with John. We were fortunate enough to meet John a couple times, and you can really, you feel like that, that spirit's definitely still there. Yeah.
It doesn't feel different. And I think that's really important, and I think that's really cool.
Definitely. Well, up next, did you see Severmind?
No.
Okay.
No.
I was gonna, I remember we were trying to bounce back and forth.
Figure out how we wanted to do it. Yeah, I know.
And we made the decision to have to...
It was a tough call.
Cut a band we love because we can see them in this area, but 3D in Your Face was playing at the same time.
Yes.
And we haven't been able to see them since the last Rocklahoma.
Sorry, guys. We had to do it.
They're out of Nebraska.
Yeah.
We'll see Severmind soon enough.
Definitely.
They know we love them.
Of course.
Episode 100 of this podcast. Go back and check that thing out.
That's right.
But yeah, 3D in Your Face. Man, a year ago, in the 60s or 70s, we had these guys on.
Yes.
Or two of them. Sam and Chris. This is one of those bands that if someone said, hey, you've been to all 11 Rocklahomas. Name 5 or 10 bands that you discovered throughout this thing.
Yeah.
Just the top 5 bands that you became a fan of because of Rocklahoma.
Yeah.
They're definitely on that list.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, they gave us each a couple of their CDs. I still listen to them.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just that good. They're fun. I was stoked to get to see them again this year.
Yeah, it's one of the funnest live shows you can see. Just, because it's not, when you think of a great live show, you think of some huge arena with lights and explosions and shit. This is like that, but encapsulated at its most raw.
That's right.
Just there on a stage, and it's like you feel like you're watching something with explosions, even though there's not. And just Sam's just all over the place, and then, he sings that one song, and it turns it into this whole punk feel as well, and they've got that great kind of Michael Monroe-ish vibe we've talked about, and how much we love Michael Monroe.
Yes.
So it's just an easy transition to love these guys, because they were built on that, what Rocklahoma was founded upon, the 80s vibe, but they also have just a great modern hard rock sound, so it's just cool as hell.
It's just a tougher edge,
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, the other thing was you and CJ from Grind were talking and saying, isn't that the guy from Prophets of Rage Prophets of Addiction?
Yes.
on drums.
That's right.
And then I had went off to the bathroom and ran into Chris, Sniper.
Yes, that's right.
Talked to him for a bit, and I asked him, he said, yeah, it is, man. He's like, and he told me this whole story.
Well, they had to pick him up on the way there or some shit. Yeah.
Their drummer just ghosted him in some town, a couple shows before.
God.
And it was when they were on their way to Rocklahoma. They had a mini tour with the Midnight Devils, which is the band that the three of them had without the singer of 3D in Your Face. And then the drummer just said, I'm done, and walked out one night and even left his gear and everything. So they got a hold of him, who they had played with before, and, and he was willing to do it. And they went wherever, I can't remember where they went to pick him up, but they had to divert to go get him, and they come back, and he did all this in the span of a few days, did the show in Oklahoma City, I think, and then to Rocklahoma for 2 shows there.
God.
So that's pretty impressive on his part.
Okay, I gotta say something. If you're not into it and you gotta quit a band or whatever, okay, that's fine. But if you're in the middle of a tour, stick that shit out.
Right.
All right? Don't be a bitch.
But that's even what he said. He's like, you're getting ready to play one of the biggest shows you've ever played. And
yeah. Hey. That's crazy. Well, hey, good for this guy from Prophets of Addiction. Definitely. Stepped up, saved the day.
Yeah.
They
actually played again on Sunday, and I remember, we were definitely going to try to see that, and then I didn't see the revised schedule.
Yeah.
And they were on at 8 or something like that on the Retrospect Stage, and then they got bumped to a bigger stage. They got bumped up to the River Spirit Stage, which is the second biggest stage out there in the opening slot on Sunday. So, and I didn't even know that till after the fact, because I wasn't paying attention. Because things got mixed around after the stuff that happened Saturday night.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, that'd have been cool as hell to see them on that stage. But, I'm glad they got a little more exposure that way, too.
They deserve it.
Definitely. Well, then we saw Switchbach over here at Camp Jager. And we saw them here a month or so ago at the Shrine in Tulsa for the first time.
Yeah.
Well, no, that was your first time. I saw them in Fort Smith last year. And just a great live band, great heavy metal. Just everything you want in a heavy metal band, these guys have.
Yeah.
Great vocals, great bass and drums, and just blistering fucking
The
guitars.
guitar player's insane. I'm like, I don't even know what he's doing. Since I can't follow it.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that show in Tulsa, he had that John Petrucci guitar.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I kept like hitting you in the shoulder going, what the fuck is this? Look at this guy. This is insane. Yeah, that was great.
But yeah, getting to see him again here at Rocklahoma outside.
Yeah.
It's just, one of those really, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, when you're outside at night, rocking at a festival.
There you go.
That's the type of music you expect to hear.
And you heard it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And they brought it, they're a great live band. And I know they played again at Camp Jager, but we didn't catch that one. But they got to see this, and they're just loving these guys and what they're doing. And they've got a new CD coming soon, and we're going to play a song here just a bit, too.
Definitely.
Who do we have after that?
Fist of Rage.
Yeah, Fist of Rage.
That's right.
And the phrase I like to say a lot is, if you've listened to this podcast at any time, you know that we are huge fans
Yes.
and supporters of Fist of Rage.
That's right.
Band out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Well, kind of. They're from the Tulsa area. And we had them all on here, many episodes back.
Yes, we did.
Just a great group, They're extremely fun to talk to, extremely fun to be around, and of course, they put on one hell of a stage show.
Yes, they do.
And it just never gets tiring.
Never.
Every time that they're around, you want to see them. All four of them are exceptional at what they do, and I'm just...
You're fanboying out right now,
Yeah,
Trent. That's okay, though.
That's what I do with
That's right.
these four people.
Well, these guys, their band encompasses everything we love about hard rock and heavy metal. And, we'll sit there and chat with them, and, we like all the same shit. And it's just like, brotherhood is born right there, I mean, it's great. And, these guys put so much into their live performance. Andy's a nut. I mean, it's just, you got to go anytime they're around. You got to go watch them.
Yeah. What was that? Before the show, he gave me 2 balloons that were shaped like boobs
Yes.
and said, take care of these and don't lose them. I gave one to some girl that wanted one.
Okay.
And the other one I did not lose. I tied it to the canopy, so within a couple of days, it went from looking like boobs to shriveled up 89-year-old balls.
Yeah. Well, that's how it goes sometimes. Sometimes even in real life, that's how it goes.
It's true.
But, but the thing is you hung on to them.
I did.
Not your balls, but the balloons.
Right.
Anyways.
I kept my word.
Yes, that's right. You kept your word. But, Andy had a crazy outfit on. I don't even know what you would have called it.
Yeah, it was like a woman burlesque dancer thing. I don't know.
And even Paulette had a headdress on, like an Indian headdress she was wearing.
Right.
Josh wore one of our shirts. It was great.
That's true, he did. Yeah, we were hanging out beforehand, and during that whole time period, I remembered later, like, all of a sudden getting, like, I went from, like, being, like, a little drunk to being, like, really drunk, and I'm like, what happened? And then I remembered that James Ratcliffe gave me some peach moonshine.
Oh, that's right.
And then said, hey, eat the peaches. So I, like, ate 1 or 2 of the peaches.
Oh, fuck.
But anyway, it didn't kick in until a little later.
He brought some Slayer wine the next night.
That's true.
We drank Slayer wine. Thanks, James.
Yeah, like, he showed up with a full bottle.
Yeah.
That
he brought me some IPAs. I mean, he always had stuff. It was great.
Yeah, I don't even care much for wine, but it was the Slayer Blood Red wine.
So you're going to drink it.
Yeah.
That was great.
But yeah, there you go. That's, what we're talking about. We didn't even meet James till last year.
Yeah.
Because actually that was his first year coming. He was a friend with Kevin Graham and came out there, and, here we are next year showing up, bringing us wine and peach moonshine and IPAs.
Hell yes.
That's what you call friends. Right there.
Oh, man. A friend with alcohol is a friend indeed.
Right.
So, next comes to the point where we need to talk about how I don't remember a goddamn thing after any of this. And people, I'm telling you this because before before we hit record, we're kind of going over what we're going to talk about and all this stuff. And, you know, Trent's like, yeah, we saw Nincos and Locust Grove. And I'm like, I didn't see Locust Grove and Nincos. And Trent's like, well, where'd you go? And I'm like, you know, I don't know. I don't know.
So, if anyone out there at Rocklahoma that's listening remembers hanging out with Jason on Thursday night, let us know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I really don't know what happened. You know.
Well, yeah, because I had it down. Nick Nose and Locust Grove was like, "Did you see them?" I'm like, "Yeah, I figured you were there because I remember hanging out with several people there, so I just assumed you were there."
Yeah. I mean, it's just God. Who knows? That was the. See, that's what happens, people. That's what happens at these things. You know. So I don't know.
You went into
whatever I'm doing. I'm sure it was fun.
You went into a Rocklahoma.
Oh man.
Big ups to Jason Carroll and Jennifer Carroll and Ed and Dina.
Yeah, that's
for
right.
Camp Rocklahoma.
That's right.
That's what happened to you.
I guess. Hell, sure. Yeah.
Well, one thing I do know is I saw Nick Nose and it was freaking amazing.
Nice.
Because we've talked about him before. We saw him at the Gene Simmons thing. We saw him last year at Rocklahoma, and they're great. And I've always said they were great. But there was just something about this show that was just another level. Mm-hmm. Like, this was just like one of my favorite things I saw at Rocklahoma this year.
Yeah.
And just, you know, they have that just awesome bluesy hard rock jam feel, and it's just something about this is just one of those shows that was really special. And then, you know, towards the end, I remember when we saw them, they did the Come Together thing, but I thought they did it with a whole lot of love maybe, but I know at this, they did Come Together and Kashmir together.
Nice.
And, you know, they just seamlessly flowed together, and, you know, not many bands can play Zeppelin and make it sound as good as it should, and they definitely did.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those ones that I hope you were there.
Yeah.
Well, you too. I hope you were there. And
I might have been.
So it's somewhere deep in your soul you heard that.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe that's why I feel so good today.
Yeah, could be. Well, Locust Grove was after them. And
okay.
I know that's one of the ones you're looking forward to, so I hope you saw that too.
I guess I didn't. I fucked that one up.
Well,
Jesus.
I saw them and they kicked ass. I mean, towards the end of that was whenever I kind of started fading, and I, you know, got some food and had to cut out towards the end of their set, but I saw a good half of it at least.
Yeah.
And these guys just bring it, you know, they're just, like we talked about before, they're full on energy. You know, all four of them, they're just one of those live bands to behold that if you're a fan of hard rock and heavy metal, you have to see these guys. They're the type of band that should be on those big stages, you know, so hopefully they are eventually.
I think they will.
Yeah.
You know, I think they're going to get there.
I mean, it features Zane who was in Annie Mortem, who of course, you know, had some success. And, you know, this band might be better than Annie Mortem.
Okay.
And you just got to see them live to really appreciate how kick-ass they are. But if not, just look them up. They've got a video out for their song Monster. We played that here a while back.
Yes.
Kick-ass band. Straight out of Oklahoma City.
You know it.
Well, speaking of kick-ass bands, just a little while ago we talked about Switchbach. They've got a brand new album that is actually coming out this weekend, I believe, is when they're releasing it. It's called The Beginning 213, and this song is called Left Behind.
Nothing you feel, you know you can't feel the pain. Nothing you see,
Behind from Switchbach. That's from their new album, The Beginning 213. That is being released this weekend at a CD release show in their hometown of Stuttgart, Arkansas.
Okay.
So check that out. Be on the lookout next week. I'm sure they'll be selling that thing online. Like I said, great live band. Heavy as fuck. That song right there was a key indicator that we weren't lying.
Yes. I mean, these guys aren't fucking around.
Right.
I
love how his vocals, sound like those guys from like your kind of power metal bands in a way, even though not completely, but it has that kind of vein, but it's like captured in this straight ahead kind of huge metal thing.
It's like the huge, not the like the high pitched power metal stuff.
Yeah.
But like when it's like the big commanding, like if Game of Thrones had a voice.
There you go.
It's
like Symphony X.
Like dangerous and looming, and it was badass.
Russell Allen is a good guy.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, Switchbach, check him out. You shouldn't be disappointed.
You won't be disappointed.
Right. Well, Friday was the first official day where everything kicked off in the festival. But it was also the first day of the Darkside Stage.
Ah, yes.
And
that's right.
Chris Taylor of DMG Productions, put on the Darkside Stage. This is his second year. Actually, our very last episode, we had an interview with him.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about that, previewing the bands that played. And, up front, I just got to say, a huge compliment to him and his crew. They really upped their fucking game, and this was great.
Mm-hmm.
Friday, it was one of those days where it was like, the sun was just beating down, and it wasn't like it was 100 degrees, but it was just like the sun made it feel like that, and it was just miserable as fuck, but they had a tent that not only covered the stage, but covered everything, kind of like Axis does, but on a smaller level.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it was great to be able to go over there in the morning and the midday and see music. And that's the other cool thing that they're doing is they're having music start at 9 a.m. So it keeps the music going all day and night, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
I got over there and saw the very ending. I believe it was Caliber Theory.
Okay.
And, which was great. We had seen them before.
Yeah, we've seen them at the Shrine, yeah.
And next up was As Shadows Collapse. And these guys just totally kicked ass.
Yeah.
Just heavy as hell. And then the singer was just kind of this hybrid of, he had the voice, he was one of those guys that could do several different styles. He was growling, he was screaming, he had a new metal kind of sound, he was singing.
Yeah.
He did all of it. It was kind of like this hybrid of new metal, melodic, and, heavy stuff. And it was really, and he's a newer singer. They had a singer previous to him. So it was just a really cool band. They kind of had that, not total new metal like you don't want to, like we talk about with Crane Technique, where it has that kind of tendencies to it or that kind of feel.
Mm-hmm.
It was the same kind of thing like that, where you kind of have that feel a little bit, but not totally.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just exceptional. It's one of those bands that, I hadn't heard before. And I'd listened to a lot of these bands that he had on a stage, like a song or two beforehand. But yeah, they just really jumped out at me as being exceptional. So I was glad I got to see them. And then right after that was The Devil You Adore.
Yes.
And a big thing to note here beforehand was Travis said, "Hey, you guys get over here. I've got something to give you." And that could mean a million things,
Yeah.
But we got over there and he got up on stage whenever they got up there before they kicked off their set, and said some stuff and some thank yous. And he gave a couple drum heads I think he gave 3 of them out maybe.
Okay.
And then he gave us his bass drum head from The Devil You Adore, his huge bass drum head. He signed it and everything and just said thanks for, all your help and for, being there for us, from the get-go and everything. And I thought, that was just really one of those cool things, that you don't expect, and
yeah.
It was an honor.
Yeah, it means a lot, definitely. And, we were there for them in the beginning, and we're still going to be there for them in their new journey as Claim Your Enemy.
Yeah. And he had the new drum set with the Claim Your Enemy.
Yes.
On the head, so they were ready to go. And
I love it, and it was like like I kept saying, a light blue kind of theme to the drum set, and I like that because it's different, you know?
Yeah.
I just, and it was like 400 degrees, and Devin was just singing his ass off.
Yeah.
You know, and he pouring with sweat. I mean, these guys they put it all out there, and they didn't care, you know? It was great.
Devin had on an AC/DC shirt, so I wonder if Travis had some kind of influence in that.
There you go.
Or if Devin liked him beforehand.
But yeah, I mean, you know, thanks to Travis, it's a total honor, and, you know, that means a lot to us.
Yeah. But check out Claim Your Enemy if you haven't before. Look them up on Facebook and Reverb Nation. They've got just a cool, you know, like I've talked about before, I love their guitar sound. And, you know, you mix that with what, what Devin does on the vocals and the rhythm section. It just combines for just one of those really unique bands that I'm really proud that we've had on this podcast, played them before, and have got to know them throughout the last year or two.
Yes, definitely.
Well, after that was entering into the main festival.
Yes.
And there was a line longer than balls to get into this thing.
Yeah.
Because they had a new system of doing things with the scan band, and not only that, they had, which that doesn't really slow things down. It's just the metal detectors and all the shit you had to go through, which wasn't happening before. Which I understand it happening, but it just, I wasn't expecting it, so I didn't get in line. I missed the first two bands I wanted to see because of this. But that's what happens at Rocklahoma.
Yeah, it does.
You have a list of 20 bands you want to see, and you probably see 10 of them.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we didn't get to see Less Than Human or Rival Sons, and we were pretty bummed about that.
Right. You know, luckily we've seen them both before. We'll see them both again, but really wanted to see Less Than Human on that big stage.
Yes,
because they got there because they deserved to be there. And I think that anybody that was in that festival was probably turned on to their music.
Yeah.
I know you said you ran into him later, and there was a guy over there telling him how much he loved him and hadn't heard him before, so that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, and this was like a Bud Light NASCAR dad-looking guy.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I mean, the guy that probably would not have heard of them if not for Rocklahoma.
Yeah.
And, you know, and this guy was just going off on him how much he dug him. So, I mean, that's what you do it for. That's good stuff.
Definitely.
You know?
Yeah, look up Less Than Human, and speaking of, they were on here
Yes.
about a month or so ago, so go back and check that episode out. Well, Slaughter was the first band we saw in there.
Yes.
And admittedly, we're both huge fans of this band since they came out in 1990.
That's right.
And don't care what you think about it, I'm still a huge fan.
Yeah, I mean, I love Slaughter. I always have, and if you're laughing right now, well, you can go eat a bowl of dicks. That's
right.
that's what's going on.
Right. Well, first off, the big thing, you know, that Slaughter had from the get-go was Mark Slaughter's voice.
Yes.
And when you have a voice like that, you know, it's like 27 years later, is it going to hold up? And he, you know, he's not what he was 27 years ago.
No.
But he's still good enough.
Yes,
is
definitely.
the good word. You know,
That's right.
We've said that before. We saw him last year. He sounds good. My only thing with him is you see some guys, like we're going to talk about here in a bit with Joe Elliott, who over the years may not be as good as he was 30 years ago, but he's adapted his voice.
Yeah.
Mark Slaughter still goes as high as he can, and it works sometimes and sometimes it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
But everything else in there fits perfect. He does good, and the band sounds great.
Oh, yeah. They sound awesome. And, I mean, we got to mention,
Of course.
Zoltan Chaney.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about Dana Strum and Jerry Miller and Metal Sludge.
Oh, no.
Oh, sorry.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah,
Man.
Zoltan Chaney, sorry.
Oh, man. The Slaughter Inner Circle. Anyways, Zoltan Chaney, Slaughter's drummer, is just, I mean, as Mike DiPetrillo puts it, the most visual drummer in rock. if you haven't seen Zoltan Chaney, YouTube him now. I mean, it's just insane.
Yeah, he's so good that you want to go see Vince Neil live.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, like,
and no one
man,
should want to see Vince Neil live.
Vince Neil's in town tonight. Man, I really could see Zoltan. That'd be fun.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, because I can't even describe it. You just have to see it. It's like nothing you've ever seen in your life.
It's like a show, and it's like, I remember we talked about it when we saw him last December in Dallas, and I think I said to you, do you think he's really a great drummer, or he's just a great showman? And you made the point that I really wasn't thinking when I said that, was that you'd have to be a great drummer to pull that shit off and still play the drums and sound good.
Exactly. He did a drum clinic at Drum World last night.
Last night?
Yeah.
Oh shit, I wished I'd known that.
Yeah. So, I mean.
But yeah, we're talking like.
You don't suck. You know, when you do drum clinics, you don't suck.
He's got his feet up on top of the bass drums. He's playing. He's throwing sticks across to people. They're throwing them back. He's throwing them up in the air. Yeah. You know, and then playing with other ones, and then dropping those and catching those, and then like
balancing shit on his. I mean,
he's got a drumstick standing up on his hand.
Yeah, balancing a drumstick on his head. I mean,
and he stands up, picks the cymbals up, and plays the cymbals with the cymbals, and then all the time he's playing the bass drum at the same time. And
that's right. That's right.
You know, and of course, you know, he jumps off the amps at the end of it. He did that in Dallas. He did it here. And I've seen him several times now, with the fact that I've seen Vince Neil a couple of times years ago at Rocklahoma and Rockin' America. And then I can't remember when the last time we saw Slaughter at Rocklahoma, he wasn't there. But anyway, yeah, he's just a sight to behold.
Yes, he is.
But even without him and his show, I still enjoy seeing Slaughter.
Definitely, yeah.
Jeff Blando's a freaking beast on the guitar. And if you ever get the chance to see a full Slaughter set, which we haven't in a while, I know he would always play, and he did it in Vince Neil's show when I saw him. Mm-hmm. Like they would play Heaven and Hell by Black Sabbath, and he would sing the vocals on that.
And that guy can sing.
Yeah, and it sounds great.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, I mean, Slaughter made their return. They're at the very first Rocklahoma. Here they are at number 11, so it's cool to see him back.
Definitely.
Well, the next band we saw, Fozzy.
Yes.
Well, to note, when I was walking back across to go to Fozzy.
We have to talk about this.
Yeah, we crossed. You were already over there, I think. I was walking with Maggie.
Yeah.
And I crossed through the main stage area where the Pretty Reckless is playing.
Mm-hmm.
And we mentioned this beforehand. I don't dislike the Pretty Reckless. They're just one of those bands I don't care about.
Yeah.
You know, I could easily watch them, because who wouldn't want to look at her?
Yeah.
But I just don't care about their music. But we knew, I had read before, that she did this tribute last week at Rock on the Range, and I think at one of their other shows where they played Audio Slave's Like a Stone, of course, in remembrance of Chris Cornell. And when I was walking over to Fozzy, it was at the end, and that's what they were finishing with.
Yeah.
And it was just her singing and the guitarist playing acoustic. And I can admit that it was fucking fantastic.
Yeah, it was great.
You know, like I said, I don't care about them. I never cared about the music, but I can tell you that was great. She sounded great.
Yeah, that was a pretty fitting tribute.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, look that up on YouTube, whether it be from Rocklahoma or Rock on the Range or any of their recent shows.
Yeah.
I think it was you that told me that was like her favorite singer growing up. So, obviously, there's emotion in it as well. It's not just someone standing up there singing a song to get attention. You know?
They opened the show, the Soundgarden show, the night that Chris Cornell passed away.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yes.
All right.
So, a pretty close connection there.
Well, we got over and saw Fozzy.
Yes, we did.
And this was one of those ones that...
Just bombastic, just feel good. I mean, wow.
Yeah. You can't go wrong with this band because, I've said it before, I'll say it again in the future, Rich Ward's one of those guys that just never gets the attention or the accolades he deserves in music. Even back when he was in Stuck Mojo, well, I mean, they're back together.
Mm-hmm.
I never cared much about Stuck Mojo, but this guy's just, it's like when Mark Tremonti was in Creed, you don't realize how great this guy is, and because you're not paying attention to the band because you don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
But Rich Ward, he had a solo album out that was fantastic, and then all his work with Fozzy now is just great. And he was the beginning of Adrenaline Mob.
Yeah.
So just people need to get on train with this motherfucker.
Yes, they do. I mean, he's just an untapped resource of guitar wisdom.
Right.
You know, and Fozzy just turned in a great set. I mean, they opened up with Judas, their new single, and it's catchy as hell. You hear it once, you're going to be hearing it in your head all day. I mean, and, you know, I'm glad things are happening for them.
They ended right enough as the second to last song they played, Eat the Rich.
Yeah.
The Crocus song. The point is that was on their first album when it was entirely covers. And I always thought, why don't they bring something, you know, at least one song back? So I'm glad they finally have.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they got away from that, which was smart, because the last few albums have been all original and great stuff. But, because I always hoped they would do live wires so you could hear someone sing it live and it sounded good, you know. But,
nice.
You know,
well,
he's come a long way, you know,
yes.
from, you know, I thought he's a fine singer when he started.
Mm-hmm.
But just from that first album, which has been over like 15 years ago now, to where they're at now, you know, I mean, he's a true rock and roll, hard rock metal fan.
Oh, yeah, definitely. He's legit.
Yeah.
And just side note, what I thought was cool is their bass player was left-handed, and he just turned a right-hand bass upside down. He didn't restring it or anything.
Oh, yeah.
And he played, and I thought that was really cool. You know.
You wonder if it's like one of those things like Hendrix, where that's just how he learned to play?
I guess, yeah, it probably was. It's just insane.
Yeah.
I thought it was really neat.
And he's the one that was gone for a while, I think, and came back.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken. But, yeah, I mean, Fozzy, if you're one of those people that just blow him off because of who the singer is, seriously, just give him a shot, you know. I mean, if you like anything hard rock and metal, I mean, I know you don't like a lot of stuff like Skillet and whatever, but if you like those kind of bands, you're going to like Fozzy.
Yeah,
they just have
definitely.
A cooler sound, because with Jericho's past and like his love of like, you know, the huge metal from the 80s.
Yeah.
You know, that's where his voice kind of goes towards, so that's what differentiates him from a band like Skillet. But it's definitely it's in that vein of rock.
Yeah, it's running along those same lines for sure.
Yeah. Well, next up, we got Deathgrip, and this was a definite highlight of the weekend. I mean, you can't say enough good things about this band and just like the energy they put on. You know, they were playing the Retrospect Stage, and just a huge kind of, we talked about it when we had Scott Bond on here last year, just a huge kind of mix between Judas Priest and power metal and all that stuff.
Yeah. Just
a great groove to the guitars. And, you know, I'm glad to see this set here at Rocklahoma. They're just fantastic band.
Yeah, and Scott Bond's an insane drummer, and we've had him on the podcast. Go look that up.
Definitely. Hope to have him here back soon.
Yes.
And, you know, hope to see him back around this way. I know they've made the trek through. They played Arkansas and some other places, and they're out of Dallas. So if you're in the Dallas area, just look out for Deathgrip. And,
yes,
you know, they should be playing around this country soon, because they're a great damn band for sure. Well, then we had Def Leppard on the main stage. I mean, this is one of those bands that since I was a kid, you know, at my youngest age, my youngest memories of loving rock, you know, they're one of those bands that were right there from the beginning. So they've always held that place with me.
Yeah.
And I've stuck with them through everything, even when other people didn't, you know, through Slang in the late 90s with X and Euphoria and all that stuff.
Hey, I liked Slang.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying most people didn't pay attention.
Well, people can go to hell. I like that record.
I even bought songs from the Sparkle Lounge or whatever it was called with that Tim McGraw song.
Oh, man. See, people bitch about Slang. Come on. Anyways.
Well, the most recent album's good.
Yeah, they're great. Don't get me wrong.
They play like 3 of those songs live. Dangerous, Let Go, and Man Enough.
Mm-hmm.
All sound great. But, you know, I mean, you go to Def Leppard to hear the hits.
Yes.
And you hope they throw in some other stuff like they did with, like, Let It Go.
Yeah.
Early on. And then, of course, after Bringing On the Heartbreak, they played Switch 625.
Yeah.
Did a little ode to Machine in the Mountain there.
There you go, yeah. Yeah, they need to.
But this is a band that just when you just talk about the music, it's flawless.
Yes, it is. It really is.
You got 2 amazing guitarists and an amazing rhythm section. They've been doing this with that lineup for 26 years now is what it is. And then, without Vivian Campbell before that, and those 4 had been together for another 10 years.
Yeah.
So there's just it's down to a complete well-oiled machine. Joe Elliott, sure, isn't the Joe Elliott of 1984, but he still sounds good. And, I saw him, 10 years ago something, and it wasn't that great, but the last several times I've seen him, he sounds great. And like I said earlier, he has adapted his voice, and he works in an area where he should be. He never goes super high, and it's just great, it's just fun. You can't say enough things about how fun seeing a band like that is when you're hearing Photograph or, Pour Some Sugar on Me or Animal or Rock of Ages, all that. Every song, 90% of the songs were hits,
Yeah. And what a stage show they had.
Yeah.
With the screens and all the different, it was crazy.
Yeah. So 2 years in a row, Vivian Campbell was part of one of the best things at Rocklahoma.
That's right.
Because last year with Last in Line.
Which was amazing.
Yeah. Well, for me as a fan, since the first year, after the first year, every year we're like, who do you think's going to play Rocklahoma? We always do that thing every year.
Yeah, that's right.
Been doing it for the past 10, and every year it's like Def Leppard was going to be one of the headliners. That was always my pick because it made perfect sense, even after it changed, because they would still have bands from that era in there, like Def Leppard every year. It took 11 years or 10 more years after the first one, but hey, it finally happened.
You finally got it.
Yeah. Got Def Leppard and the Scorpions back to back, and those are always the two that I'm like, when's it going to happen?
Yeah, that's right.
So now we just got to start mentioning Alice Cooper and Sammy Hagar every year.
No shit.
Till that happens.
Yeah, I know. No kidding. How that hadn't happened yet, I don't know.
Right. But Def Leppard, perfectly fitting headliner for this bill. So very cool. Next up, Saturday. This is going to be pretty thin on talking about bands.
Yeah, we'll be on Sunday here pretty quick.
Right. Well, I went and saw. Did you see Fuel?
No.
You did not? Okay.
No.
I know you never really cared, but I've always loved, back when they came out, it was during that era, whenever those bands started coming out, the radio rock stuff started getting big, and, it's still going on to this day, but to me, they were always at the top of the list of those bands, mainly because of Brett Scallion's voice. It was real unique, and it's just something about it I always loved, and they always had great, catchy songs that weren't catchy in the way that they were cheesy, just to be catchy to be on the radio.
Yeah.
Just great melodic choruses throughout, even the deep cuts, the songs that people that never listened to albums never heard,
Something Like Human.
Yeah.
The song in itself.
Oh, yeah.
Was great.
Yeah. That song, Knives, stuff like that most people don't even check out. But then you had Jesus or a Gun, which wasn't really a hit, but they still play it live every time. And so it was just, they put on a great set. I think it's a totally different band than it was when it started, obviously, besides him. But, because it went through changes without him, and he's back. But he sounds great, and the band sound good. So
there you go.
Glad I got to see him again.
Yeah.
I saw him actually a couple years ago at the Shrine, the Vanguard.
Oh, okay.
That's probably been 3 or 4 years ago now, but that's back when Jason Todd, who we talked about earlier, was still in the band.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, Zakk Sabbath.
Yes.
And this was high on our list and many people's lists. I had the opportunity to see him last year open for Clutch. You had never seen him.
Never seen him.
So,
you know who their drummer is?
Castillo?
I didn't even realize that till later.
Yeah, what's his first name?
Joey Castillo from
Danzig.
fucking Danzig and A Perfect Circle and remember Sugartooth?
Yeah, he was in that.
Yeah.
Okay. The more you know.
I'm bringing out the obscure shit.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Zakk Sabbath. So it's Joey Castillo, Blasco from you will know, of course, from Rob Zombie, and then a guy named Zakk Wylde.
That's right. And man, they turned it up.
Yeah,
They really did.
For some odd reason you don't know what this is, it's Zakk Sabbath. Zakk Wylde playing Black Sabbath covers, basically.
Yeah. And
you know, he's playing the guitar and singing the songs.
they opened with Supernaut.
Yeah.
It's like, God.
I mean, you can't go wrong with that. Supernaut, Children of the Grave.
Mm-hmm.
What else we get? Fairies Wear Boots.
Yeah.
What am I forgetting?
I don't know. I can't remember. All I could... Oh, Snowblind. They played Snowblind.
Yeah. After Forever? Or no, was that when I saw him last time? So
yeah, because...
it was a shorter set than when I saw him, obviously.
Yeah, because after that's when it all went to shit.
Yeah. But see, here's the thing. But during that...
Yeah.
You know, everybody all day long had been talking because, you know, there had been reports that it was going to rain. And then it went from going to rain to be a big storm.
Yeah.
And then it went to being a crazy storm, whatever. So everybody knew that at some point in that evening, it was going to start raining. And it was going to be during some band we liked because everybody that night I wanted to see, you know, we'll get to that in a minute, but like he's playing and it starts raining. And at first it's just a little bit, but then it's a pretty heavy rain.
Yeah.
It's not, you know, like a downpour, but it's a decent enough rain that you're not going to stand outside.
Yeah.
But not a damn person moved.
No.
Because it's Zakk Wylde.
That's right.
Singing Children of the Grave. So you're not going to move, you know? And so that's just one of those cool things to see because then you look to your left and it's like bright and sunny. And you look to your right and it looks like Satan's taint or whatever, you know? And, and you know, it's kind of one of those cool things like going way back to the second year when it was pouring balls of rain and Kix was playing and that place was jam-packed and not a soul moved.
Yeah.
And this was the same thing, you know? Started pouring, no one moved. And then it kind of let out for a minute and then started raining again. But he got 25 minutes in before they called it on him.
Yeah. And I remember, well, I saw a thing of lightning and I thought, oh, they're going to shut it down. And they did.
Yeah.
And, you know, it happens.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you can't bitch about it to him or whoever, you know, I mean, that place has got to be safe, you know, for to cover their asses.
Exactly.
And, you know, I saw his set list later, and it was just War Pigs and...
NIB.
Yeah, NIB that was left. So, I mean, of course, that would have been amazing, but I'm just glad it wasn't 5 minutes into the set. At least we got 4 or 5 songs out of the deal.
And they're good songs.
Yeah. So, if you're lucky enough to see Zakk Sabbath, you know, don't miss the opportunity, because this isn't one of those things that is going to be touring every year. You know, eventually, he's going to turn his focus back to Black Label.
Yeah.
And get back on that jam. Because for the last couple of years, he's kind of been doing all his other stuff. Mm-hmm. But you know the Black Label train is going to start rolling again.
Oh, it will. It will.
Yeah. Well, they said, you know, get your ass out of here. Go back to your car or your trailer or whatever. You know, until this blows over, and then we'll restart. Unfortunately, they had to call the whole night.
Yeah. Because
it got bad, but then it also stopped raining, but then the lightning never stopped.
Yeah.
And there was always a tornado warning, but it was the main thing was the lightning that they could never say go because it's within a 10-mile radius they have to call it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for us, you know, the rest of that night, every band I wanted to see.
Yeah.
You know, even, you know, live, Stone Sour, I've never seen either of them. Diamond Head, obviously, I've never seen.
Yeah. Suicidal Tendencies.
Suicidal, I've seen, but it's been forever. You've never seen them.
Never seen one to see him.
The Cult, okay, I've seen like 10 times, but it's the fucking Cult.
Yeah, I know shit. Okay. I mean, it just,
so unfortunately, it didn't happen like when 3 Days Grace and Skillet and, you know, whoever was playing, but, you know, that's the shits or whatever.
That's how it goes.
The breaks.
Yeah. Yep. That's the way the, you know, that's the way the cookie crumbles, I guess.
There you go. Well, and here's the thing to talk about. That sucks.
Yes.
You know, especially for something like Diamond Head, which
I know.
Who knows when?
Nice.
Who knows when you're going to get that
probably
chance?
Never happen again.
Right. You know, we'll get a chance to see Suicidal someday.
Yeah.
Stone Sour if you want to, live if you wanted to, and of course the Cult. But the thing to point out is, from my standpoint, that's one of the funnest nights at Rocklahoma I can remember in years.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they basically called it was like 6:30, wasn't it? 6:30, 6:45 when they had to shut Zakk down.
Yeah.
Maybe 7, I don't know. In that area. We go back out to the campground. We're just hanging out. And then a lot of people showed up at our campsite, and then that's whenever the shitstorm started, like with the heavy rain.
Yeah.
And so we're like, we need to put down this canopy, but no one wanted to put it down and move because it was pouring ass rain. So we all just stood in this canopy, and while the wind was like blowing at 50 miles per hour, what it was, everybody's like holding on to it so it doesn't fly away.
Held it down, yeah.
And even a couple people ran up in there because it started hailing, and they were like running down the road, and they saw us with our lights, so they ran up under there. And I remember one guy ran up under there. You tossed him a hams, you know, and that's Rocklahoma, people.
Yeah, that's what you do, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, then that kind of blew over, and it was still real windy, lightning, but then the wind died down, and then it was just nice.
Yeah, and it was just like, hey, everyone come out and party.
Yeah, and so then that's what it was. It just turned into everybody partying in the campgrounds all night.
And that's when my mind got completely erased. And I woke up and it was Sunday.
Okay. Well, I know on our end, we went down to Camp Rocklahoma.
Yes, we did. I do remember that.
Hung out with them.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people coming and going down there. At one point, CJ from Grind and Paulette from Fist of Rage came down there and hung out.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Everybody from Camp Rocklahoma that I mentioned earlier, Jason, Jennifer, Ed, Dina, and then Tracy, Maggie, me, you. I can't remember who else kind of came and went in there. Sean and Candy were down there. Mm-hmm. So it was just, you know, and of course, you know, walking to and fro, you see everybody, and it was just one of those fun, memorable nights.
Yeah, it was awesome.
You know, sure, it would have been great if we saw Diamond Head, but, you know, I'm not going to slip my wrist over the fact that I didn't. It happened 2 years ago where they had to call a night, and it happened again.
Yeah.
But, you know, the thing to point out is if Chris Cornell was still with us, we wouldn't have got to see him either.
I know. It's such a crazy thing. And it happened when they played Rock on the Range, it got called.
The night they were supposed to play?
Yeah. Think
That's
about
right.
that.
Yeah. There you go.
That's weird.
Mind blown right there.
Yep.
It's a sign.
It is a sign.
Going into Sunday, saw quite a few, you know, a decent amount of bands Sunday. Kicked off with Blackstone Cherry, who was one of the best bands at this whole thing.
Yes.
Best performances. It was just...
They had the look, they had the show, they had the musicianship. These guys have got songs. I mean, quality songs. I've said this a million times, and I'll say it again. The fact that they were going on at 3:30 is just disgusting. It's criminal.
Yeah.
They should be one of the headliners. And if this was in the UK, they would. People over there get it, and people over here just aren't getting it like they should. I mean, this band is amazing. I mean, they're way better than having to open up for Nickelback or some shit like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just,
Or you saw him open for Theory of a Dead Man.
Yeah, exactly.
One time.
Yeah, it's like,
well,
what
we walked
the
out
fuck?
on Theory of a Dead Man, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like, but I mean, these guys, they have energy. They're, you know, just kicking all over the stage. You know, they've got their songs down, and they're just a great mix of like hard rock with a southern edge. And they really get back to the roots of hard rock, you know?
Maybe that's why they've never made it to that next level in America.
I guess
it's not.
They're not douchey
it's
enough.
It's not affliction-y
I don't get
enough.
it. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I hate to say it like that, but you're fucking right, you know?
Right.
So, yeah, it's just, I don't get it. I mean, I hated that I only got to see 30 minutes of them, but man, what a great fucking 30 minutes it was.
Yeah.
You know, John Fred is an insane drummer. I mean, go listen to this band, people. Just go fucking listen to him.
Yeah, I mean, he was the best drummer at this thing.
Yes.
You know, there might be someone didn't see or I'm not thinking of. Dave Lombardo didn't get to play. So I can say that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Zoltan, you know, maybe. And then, hey, Scott Bond's up there. There's other guys up there I'm probably forgetting, but just, this guy is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
And he's fun to watch, too.
He threw a stick out to the crowd, and that person threw it back, and he caught it and just kept going without missing a beat. I mean, what the hell? You know, that's great.
And then there was the point where all three of them were playing their guitars and bass behind their head.
Back, yeah.
You know, normally that's like one guy will do that, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it was just a rock show the way it's meant to be.
And like you said, they've got the songs. I mean, hell, if I was making their set, it would have been totally different songs. That's how great these guys are. It's like we say hashtag all killer, no filler. Every one of their albums has been that way.
Yeah.
And it's just,
that's right.
They're just one of those bands like Alter Bridge or something where it's like every song's phenomenal and you just hope they never go away, you know, and just keep putting out music. Even if they don't make it to that next huge level.
That's right.
They've made it to a level that they're successful and that they can keep putting out music. So that's good enough for me as a fan.
That's right.
I just hope one day they can get up there and replace the bullshit that's above them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
like that asshole from Porn Star Dancing that
oh
sings for 3 Days of Grace now, you know?
Yeah, I know. You're exactly fucking right.
Anyway, if he was listening, I'm sorry. You can be on the podcast and we'll talk about it. Speaking of shit shows.
Oh, God. I know where this is going.
Let's step back and preface this.
Okay.
Since the first day that I heard Lit Up, I've been a huge fan of Buckcherry.
Yes, me too.
It's never died. It's never gone away.
Yeah.
Sure, they've had a couple albums in there I didn't care about as much, like that All Night Long album. And
I liked that album. Fuck you.
But it wasn't near as good as anything else.
I didn't like the Black Butterfly album.
I fucking love Black Butterfly.
Man.
That's like their third best album behind.
Can we break? I need a beer. Jesus. Pissing me off.
The first album and Time Bomb, then Black Butterfly.
Oh, man. Yeah. Time Bomb. Jesus. What a fucking record.
And I've gone on and on throughout the years, even before this podcast, about how much I love Keith Nelson to an unhealthy degree. Like the unhealthy degree that I love Jeff Worley or Pepper Keenan, you know? It's almost they make you feel things. Yeah, it's almost like, look, I'm still straight, but they're pulling me away from that, you know what I'm saying? No.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, so then we talked about this a while back. Within the past month or so, Keith Nelson and what's his name? What's the other dude's name?
Xavier.
Yeah, Xavier. Like both left.
Yes.
They've never really said why or what happened or whatever. It doesn't matter, does it? But what?
Well, I know why they left. Well, we talked about it, but it's been put out on our good friend Eddie Trunk, who was on the podcast last year. Go check it out.
Yeah.
He talked to Keith Nelson.
Oh, okay.
And Keith Nelson just said he thought it was time for a break. They'd been going and going, and they thought it'd be a good idea to take a break and take a couple of years off, and because and let everybody kind of
re-energize
and let all the fans kind of be craving them again. And Stevie D and Josh Todd didn't want to take a break, so.
But see, here's the thing.
Keith Nelson said, "All right, well, I'm staying home."
Here's the thing. They're doing these shows they had scheduled, but they also announced that those two are doing
a new band. Yeah.
Yeah, the band that's like Josh Todd and the something or something.
Josh Todd and the Conflict.
There you go.
Well,
so it's them two that are left, basically doing a side project, which sounds like a solo band. So, kind of like you mentioned, they could do that for the rest of the year into next year. And then when it comes time for Buckcherry, it could be like, all right, hey Keith, what's up?
Yeah.
Look who's back.
That's what's going to happen. They're going to get these shows that they booked out of the way. And, Josh and Stevie are going to go do their thing. And, 2018, 2019, it'll all be back as it should be. I guarantee it.
Because to your average fan that doesn't know anything other than Josh Todd's voice and 3 songs.
Yeah.
They don't care or don't know.
Yeah.
So it can work.
Yeah.
But the way I like this band is the fact, or the reason is because his guitar playing and the fact that he writes these songs with Josh Todd, and they're one of those great writing duos, and they just work well together and they just sound great together. And he's just got that style and sound that you can't replicate. Case in point, Rocklahoma 2017. So I told you I'm not going to go, and you're like, and then that day you're like, you going to go? I'm like, yeah, I probably will. It's Buckcherry, I'll give in. And sure enough, I was over there. I waited for it to come on, and I'm like, I'm just being a douchebag, and calling them Scab Cherry and all this shit. I'm like, hey, I've supported Axl whenever no one
That's
else
right.
did, when it was just him and Dizzy Reed and Guns N' Roses.
Yep.
So I'm just being a hypocrite. But the point is, I'm like, I'm just overreacting. It'll be fine. Well, it starts, and he's having mic problems, which
That's right.
that's not his fault. That's not anyone's fault. That's not why they're bad. Of course, the mic kicked back on. But just, they're playing Raiden from Time Bomb, and it sounds nothing like Raiden.
Yeah.
Because he's not even playing the same fucking guitar riff. It's just weird and just broken up and choppy and just like totally different. And then, I don't remember what they played second, but it just doesn't sound the same, which sure, he's a different guitarist, but of course you want that guitar tone because that's Buckcherry. And it just never got better. And then to top it off, Josh Todd sounded like he was high on fucking crack. I don't know what, but he just, even when his mic started working, I've seen him many times and he sounded fine.
Yeah.
He sounded good. We saw him at the Brady last year, whenever
That's
that was.
right. Yeah.
Sounded fucking great. But I mean, I don't know about you, but I walked out during Lit Up, or the third song, I think it was. I'm like, I'm just not even going to watch this. I like this band. I just don't want to see this bullshit.
It sounded all right to me. I don't know. I mean,
So I am
I'm a big fan. You know, I'm not as big of a fan as you, but I'm a big fan. And I mean, you know, it was kind of different. It didn't feel the same, but it sounded decent to me. You know,
Passable.
You know, I'll be a little more diplomatic than you.
All right. Well, we'll say when I walked off, I was going to head back to the campground for a little bit and then come back, but I was walking by and the band was playing on Retrospect because usually they're not playing at the same time as the headline or the main stage, but because the bands got canceled on Saturday, they were putting them in, filling them in, so they were playing the same time. So I walked over there and Wild Plains was playing, and I had read about them before, but I hadn't heard, and I read that they were like more poppy, I think was the word I saw.
Yeah.
And they did kind of have that feel, but they also had a real like kind of funk feel to them. And it was something totally different than you ever see at Rocklahoma.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was just kind of cool. You know, they had the look of like a hard rock band, you know, the long hair, but they were wearing like all white and bright colors. And it was just, it's like pop hard rock funk, you know, or something.
Nice.
And it was just, it's something that could be successful on the radio. It was cool to see them, you know, something different.
Yeah, something different's always good.
Yeah. Next up was Ratt, making their return to Rocklahoma. I think this is like their fourth time because they played two of the early ones and then they've came back once since it changed, and this is the second time since the change. What can you say about Ratt that we haven't said before? I mean, both of us love this band.
Oh yeah, I mean, and they're I don't know, they never disappoint. And I hear people, you know, talk about, you know, how Stephen Pearcy and all this kind of stuff. Every time I've seen them, they've always sounded good.
I even saw some people say he didn't sound good at this, and I don't.
Yeah, I'm
hear
like, what the fuck are you talking about? He sounded great.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, there was once, I can't remember which song it was, but it seemed like he was kind of talking it, you know.
Okay, yeah.
Talking through it or something. But and I thought, oh, that's kind of weird, you know. But other than that, he sounded good on everything else.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Who knows? But I mean, it's, you know, I love when, Carlos Cavazo and Warren DeMartini do the dual guitar leads and stuff. And,
yeah.
I mean, you know, I've always loved watching them. They're great.
The thing, you know, that struck me, for some reason, I don't know why this never struck me before when I was watching them at Rocklahoma, but you think of Ratt, you know, how cool, you know, everybody knows how great Warren DeMartini is and how cool their sound is, you know, and they're one of the better bands from that whole era.
Yeah.
But when you see them, you know, you think of guys like Tony Iommi, you know, is obviously the greatest riff writer in the history of rock and metal. And then jump into a totally different vein, like into the future with Kirk Windstein, who's the fucking riff lord. And you got guys of that aura of metal. But if there's such a thing as a riff lord of 80s rock and metal, it's Warren DeMartini. Because you think of it, every fucking song, like Lack of Communication, you know, or Lay It Down, or any of these songs, it's just this riff is so powerful.
I know.
And it's just so much better than even bands from the 80s with great guitarists. And bands I might even like a little more than I liked Ratt.
Yeah.
No one, you know, I probably like George Lynch more than I like Warranty Martini, but I don't like Dokken more than I like Ratt because of those fucking guitar riffs.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, they're memorable. You can sing them just like you can sing the choruses.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big thing.
And it sounds so powerful live, too.
Yes, that's right.
And that, probably has something to do with Carlos Cavazo as well.
Yeah.
Being there. Because, for anyone that doesn't know, he was in Quiet Riot during their heyday.
That's right.
I mean, the guy fucking wrote Metal Health.
Yeah.
And then he wrote Best of Me on Infestation, which is one of their best songs in 20 years.
They could have came out and played all of Infestation. I would have been happy.
No shit. Would have been like the only happy people.
Yep.
But it would have been amazing.
Cared.
Right.
That's right.
But they had a great set, and I mean, they even played a couple things like Body Talk and stuff that, and they had a couple other bigger hits, I think,
Yeah.
I mean, my favorite song by Ratt, I think, is probably Loving You's a Dirty Job. They didn't play it. There's, I mean, that's how big a catalog and how many hits this band had,
Yep. That's for sure.
Next up was Jackyl.
Oh, here we go. This is the highlight. This is my favorite point of the whole weekend.
Over everything?
Over everything.
Okay.
This was it.
I'd say it's my top 3 or 4. But
I will quote our good friend Michael Thrasher, who hung out with us a lot the whole weekend. He worked the festival. I can't remember verbatim exactly what he said, but he said something to the effect of, that was hands down, that is the definition of, of rock and roll or hard rock. I can't remember how he said it, but it was do you remember what it was after Jackyl. When we got back to the campground, he said that was the definition, the true spirit of rock and roll right there, was that set. And that's the truth.
It's the band that encapsulates everything about, like he said, but even Rocklahoma.
Yes.
Because it carries over from what the first 3 years into what it is now with all those kind of bands. They're like the bridge band and the band that works on both sides of that.
Yep.
Kind of like Whitesnake or someone might, where it's heavy enough for the new crowd, but also fits into that old school.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know where to start on this one.
Well, I mean, we've seen him countless times, and you see him countless times because you know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And a lot of, obviously the end of the show and some of his stage banter doesn't change, but a lot of it has, every time you see him, he says something different, so it's not verbatim. But this is a band with 4 guys that each one of them on their own looks like a guy that you want to fucking party with.
That's right.
Just if you knew nothing about him, you just saw him standing there in the campground in Rocklahoma, no matter which of those 4 guys it is, you're like, I want to hang out with that guy tonight.
That's right. Jeff Worley is the new Keith Richards.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's one of my spirit musicians. I've said that before. I'll say it again. I got his book. I started it, but I haven't finished it.
I want to get, I'll finish it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I almost bought it the other day.
He's just one of those guys that I just always, for some reason, just absolutely loved. But all 4 of them, Roman Glick and Chris Worley, and of course, Jesse James Dupree.
That's right.
These guys know how to put on a show. They sound good live. The music, the vocals, everything. And I don't know what this was. I think probably the 5th time they played Rocklahoma, maybe.
Yeah.
And, luckily, they've changed, because I remember a couple of those things. That one time they played Dumbass Country Boy. They played Secret of the Bottle one of the times. When Moonshine and Dynamite collide.
Yeah.
One of those times. And then, so they're always throwing in the different stuff. And of course, this go around they had, they kicked it off with a new song.
Yes, they did.
And then they played
Just Because I'm Drunk Don't Mean You're Right.
Yeah.
And I mean,
which is one of your favorite songs of all time.
One of my favorite songs of all time. I can relate to it like a motherfucker. But I mean, and I was really happy to hear him do that song. And it's funny is that's like a song off their new record. And by the end of the song, everybody was singing along to it.
Yeah.
And I just think that, it's one of the sets I look most forward to. And I don't really like stage banter.
Yeah.
But except when it's Jackyl. I almost look forward to the stage banter more than the songs. which I don't know what that says, you know, but I mean, because their songs are great. The songs are amazing and they perform them flawlessly, but it's just, you know, it just fills you with a spirit and just a joy and a positivity. And, you know, it helps your soul seeing a set like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does. It sounds corny, and people out there, if the singer for Seether's listening, he's probably rolling his eyes, but I mean, that's just what happens.
Well, see,
that's how much I love this band.
You don't want to be the band that follows that. You know, it's
Yeah,
like
I know.
whether,
and yeah, exactly.
You know,
And,
it's
the
like-
way they end it with the fucking tearing up the bench with the chainsaw, setting it on fire and all this.
and even
shit.
that, you know, that doesn't take that out of it.
Yeah.
Let's just take the chainsaw and the fire out of it.
Yeah.
You still don't want to be a band that follows a band like that, because even people, you know, I mean, like you said, people are singing along to a song they didn't know 4 minutes ago.
Exactly.
And I look around and there's, you know, at least in the area where I'm at, there's a lot of people that know all the words, and you could tell people that didn't, but then like, my moonshine kicks your cocaine's ass, when he says that line the first time, people are laughing and then like fucking screaming and pounding their fists, you know, it's like, they get everybody into it, but you don't see another band, many bands pull that off.
Yeah.
You know, when they're singing a song and then like, people might dig it, but you don't see someone that doesn't know the song going apeshit.
Exactly. Well, what I noticed about Jackyl is, you know, it used to just be they do stuff from their first album and then done.
Yeah.
And now that, you know, they've built up such a thing, they can throw newer songs in there, and they still come across the same. Not a lot of bands from that era can do that, you know?
Yeah.
So, there you go.
Yeah, especially, I mean, with the set that's had maybe eight or nine songs, and
Yep.
at least three of them were from the last two albums, or
Yeah.
no, last three albums or whatever.
I know, which is great.
But-
So,
First off, we didn't preface this with earlier before them, the power went out.
oh, that's right. Okay,
This was
yeah.
there wasn't any weather. It was a completely nice sunny day, but like,
a bird somewhere in fucking Pryor, a bird flew into a transformer.
right.
Knocked the whole town out.
Yeah, it wasn't just Rocklahoma. It was like the entire grid.
Yep.
And yeah, it was during the end of Buckcherry, because I had
Yes.
left. That's why I didn't know it until I read it on Facebook and you guys came back and told me. But anyway, so that delayed, they got it back up within less than an hour.
Yeah.
I think it was like maybe 45 minutes.
Yeah, but it pushed stuff back a little bit.
Yeah. So then, you know, of course, they were on a revised schedule, and then they did some sound checks and shit once the power was back up, because you got to do that once the power takes a hit. And so that pushed it back a little bit. So it was over an hour behind. But at these kind of things, you know, luckily, it's not like if you're at something like Rock on the Range, or I don't know about them, but like a festival like that that's in town,
Yeah.
this might be a big issue, because you've got curfews and noise ordinances and shit. You know, they're out there on private property 4 miles from the nearest town. So it doesn't matter. You could go till 3 a.m. if you really wanted to.
Do whatever the hell they want.
Right. So that's the first thing to mention.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, now jump forward.
Now.
Okay, apparently they're running over time. But here's the thing to point out. I've seen a lot of people posting on Facebook and sites and shit saying that Jackyl went 30 minutes over, which there is no way in fuck they went 30 minutes over.
That's right.
For them to go over 30 minutes, they would have been playing an hour and 15 or 20 minutes, because
Yep.
they had like a 45-minute set.
Yep. And
So they might have went over 10 minutes, if that.
let me also mention that the revised set times on the app and the website were still wrong.
Yeah, they didn't
The
start-
bands were running behind that.
Yeah, another 15 or 20 minutes
Yes.
after that.
So let's put that out there too.
So, Nothing More was the next band to start.
Mm.
And apparently, we can say they might have got the shaft. Because the organizers might have been like, you have to finish at this time because the next main stage band's starting.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, I remember last time this happened, they just pushed the whole thing back and it just kept rolling in order
Yeah.
with the exact time sets. But apparently, from what I gather, I didn't see Nothing More. Unfortunately, everybody that saw them said it was fucking great, you know.
Yeah.
But apparently they had a shorter set, like 10 minutes. Maybe that was the Jackyl time. But then apparently Seether thought it was hurting their time or their feelings or their vaginas. And Seether didn't cut any time off their set,
Yeah.
so they weren't affected at all. They still played their entire set.
Yeah.
Their entire
Even
set
though
list. Look at the set
people were on
list.
Facebook saying Seether got cut short. No, they didn't.
Look up their set list online, and you saw those songs played live.
Yep.
There you go. You know, so here's the deal. Was it unprofessional for him to go over a little bit? Maybe. But it's also, I say, Rocklahoma, this is fucking rock and roll. Shit happens.
Yeah.
This thing got completely pushed back. You've got a guy going a little long. Okay, he went 10 minutes over. So then let nothing more play their fucking set length, and then everything's normal.
Yeah.
10 more minutes on top of an hour and 15-minute delay isn't going to hurt anyone's feelings.
That's right. That's right.
Everybody's out here drunk. You know, half the crowd's staying there anyway.
Yeah, but it hurt Mr. Seether's feelings.
Yeah. Everybody in Seether except for Clint Lowry.
Yeah, true.
There's no way, we're giving him a pass.
I think the guy from Seether's probably mad because he was waiting to get back to his bus so he could watch a new episode of Property Brothers. That was probably what happened.
He was probably wanting to drive a golf cart drunk like a douchebag. That's what he did like 3 years ago. Remember that story?
Yeah, I do.
Hey, I'd drive a golf cart drunk if they let me, I guess.
But anyways, Seether, the lead singer for Seether, Mr. Seether, was very upset, and he was bashing Jackyl in between every song. And, and that's, I don't exactly know what was said, but he was bashing him pretty hard. And so, whatever.
We don't know what was said because it's Seether. We weren't there.
Yeah, we weren't there because I don't want to watch that stuff. I'd rather, I'd rather.
Hey, you know the song Remedy by Seether?
Yeah.
You want to hear it right? Go to a Reliance Goat show.
Yeah, no shit. There you go.
You know
That's
the song
right.
Careless Whisper by Seether? You want to hear it right? Look up a George Michael video on YouTube.
And there's one thing I also want to say is...
Go see the Nixons. There's where you got a good jump.
Yeah, no shit. Here's something I want to say is that for anyone that's frustrated about this, and also for anyone that, for all the reasons, and bashing Jackyl and stuff, Jesse James Dupree is probably one of the reasons we still have a Rocklahoma. Okay? Back in 2009 when it wasn't doing so good, he's the one that called, AEG and his friends there and said, hey, there's a really cool thing going on out here, but, it needs tweaking and it's something that we could really capitalize on and turn into something awesome. And, so he was kind of the catalyst in helping that, in helping Rocklahoma continue. And also, he does a lot of stuff outside of Jackyl. He works at a lot of these festivals. He produces. He knows, he knows everybody, and he has a hand in all kinds of stuff you wouldn't even think about. And so, I think he gets a pass. They can do whatever the fuck they want. So, there you go.
And it's like one of those things, it's like he got away because it's like if this was the other way around, we could be hypocrites right now. We might be saying, fuck Sean Morgan, he gets a pass because he had something to do with this, Just James Dupree should have, he has the right to say he sucks. So, it's all this stuff always goes down to which side you're on.
I guess so.
In a way. But see, the thing is, I ran my mouth about Seether 3 minutes ago, but I don't dislike Seether. I just don't care. They're just one of those bands that just, their music's fine. It just doesn't move me in any way. And especially after watching Jackyl for 45 or 50 minutes, I need to go back and drink some fucking whiskey.
Yeah.
Or some rum. I don't need to hear, fucking Fine Again or some bullshit.
Oh, man. God, we're going to get some hate mail on this.
Oh, well.
Yep, we'll live.
Go back to episode 67. Sean Morgan was on this podcast.
He was?
I don't remember.
Jesus Christ.
Well, came back into the festival for the headliner that night, which was the Offspring.
Yes.
And, it was funny leading up to this, like, when they were announced, I was looking forward to it. And then as it got closer, I'm kind of like, I don't really care. It's like, they're one of those bands that I liked, I still like, but I just never truly loved them.
Yeah.
And I've never seen them live, so I was kind of surprised I was feeling that. But once the day got there, I kind of got more excited about it. I think it's probably because Saturday I missed seeing bands I wanted to see, so it was, the final band to get to see and all that. So I went over there, saw it, and first off, I thought it was really cool when this lineup was announced because you had 3 headliners that were distinctly different from each other.
Yes, that's really cool.
you know, with Def Leppard, Soundgarden, and then Offspring. And Offspring's the first band that you can loosely call a punk band that is really not just headlining, but playing the main stage of Rocklahoma.
Exactly.
I mean, they were always lumped into punk, but I never considered them punk. It's the same way people call Green Day punk, but they were just a pop rock band that was masquerading as punk. Yeah. Just like Offspring was kind of like a hard rock band masquerading as punk.
Yeah.
And they put on a set that sounded good. They played the hits. It was fun. It was cool to see, but it's kind of one of those things. After seeing Jackyl and Ratt and Black Stone Cherry, it's kind of like, eh.
Yeah, exactly. I was even more so like, I don't really care, you know, but, you know, we found out that they're going to do a little Chris Cornell thing afterwards, and everybody was going to see, all you fuckers are going to see Offspring. I'm like, well, I'll be sitting here all by myself.
Right.
Fuck it, I'll go. And I was, you know, I never hated the Offspring. They had some decent songs, but I just didn't really care. But I ended up really enjoying their set. Yeah. You know, I liked their setup. I liked, I liked how, Noodles and Dexter, played off of each other, and, they're, energetic.
Yeah, they played off with banter as well.
Yeah. And they're real positive. They're real grateful to the crowd.
True.
I really appreciated that. And yeah, it was just, they played every song you knew. It was good. It was awesome.
Yeah, Noodles, had some funny things to say, and even throughout an ode to Warren D. Martini, which was cool,
That's right. So that was awesome.
Yeah. And he had probably the smallest drum set of the weekend, and he's like on the headlining band, so it's kind of cool. Yeah. But yeah, it's just a bare bones set with some lights, which, that's the other thing. After seeing Def Leppard headline, after seeing Jackyl earlier that day, it's kind of odd, but at the same time, it's like, if they're good, they're good. It's music. Yeah. You don't have to, right. If you need that stuff, Def Leppard doesn't need it, but it sure adds to it.
Yeah.
But, if you're Motley Crue, you need it to cover for your downfalls, but, anyway. Sorry, had to get it in at least twice. But...
Hey, that downfall's in Tulsa tonight as we speak.
Right. Well, so it was a fine band, the headline, so I have no complaints on that.
Yeah.
Right after they finished, they started this Chris Cornell tribute.
Yeah.
And, everybody got off the stage, Offspring's crew, everybody on the stage, no one did anything, so there was no distraction. There's the microphone in the middle. It went dark, and there was 2 spotlights shining on a microphone.
Yeah.
And then they just had a picture of Chris Cornell up there with the picture of a candle, and then I think it said the dates maybe.
Yeah.
And then they played Jeff Buckley's version of Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah.
Yes.
Which is one of those songs that is obviously fitting to a situation like this. And it's a beautiful version regardless if you've never heard it. So there you got three guys who have passed that were represented right there.
Yeah.
And then once that ended, they started a slideshow. And they started playing...
Nothing Compares to You.
Yeah. Chris Cornell's acoustic version of Prince's Nothing Compares to You, which we all know is phenomenal.
Yes. And
then once that finished, the slideshow continued. And it even had some video footage in there. And they played Temple of the Dog, Say Hello to Heaven.
Yes.
Which is similar, I think, to what they did at Rockin' the Range. Was cool. They picked different songs, because I think at that you said they played Black Hole Sun with just the isolated vocals.
Yeah.
So it was cool, because I always thought, well, Say Hello to Heaven's a little more fitting anyway.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful song to begin with. And so it's one of those things that just, we talked about it after he passed, that just that feeling you have, that bad feeling in your gut. Mm-hmm. You're sitting there after, screaming along to The Kids Are All Right and self-esteem.
Yeah.
Woo! And then 5 minutes later, you're like, I hate my life because one of my favorite singers is gone.
Yeah, you're getting a little choked up.
Yeah.
This is goosebumps for sure.
Yeah, because even I know it was during Hallelujah or some point in there, everybody started holding up their phones and their lighters.
Yeah.
And I know there's a picture online.
Yeah, it's
pretty. That you can see from the stage. It looks pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
And, to go back to the band we were ripping on earlier, I didn't see it, but apparently Seether did the same thing where they did a moment of silence. Everybody put their stuff up. which everybody said was really cool as well.
Nice.
But, so yeah, I mean, this was linked. You talk about 3 songs. Sail to Heaven's like 5 minutes long.
Yeah.
Hallelujah's like 6 minutes long.
Yeah.
And then so you've got over 15 minutes. You're sitting there watching this. Just a few people walked out at the beginning, like right before it started, but no one moved once it started.
Oh, yeah, no. No kidding.
You know, once it ended, the lights came up and that was it. And so it's kind of like, I think as soon as everybody's just sitting there quiet, and then you said, I think I need a drink.
Yeah.
Because it's just one of those things. It's like, you don't, like, what do I do now? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you don't want to say, I don't want to feel bad, but you have to.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So you get up and walk over. Thankfully, Niterain started playing over here on the side stage. So there's a band that's great. They can kind of lift your spirit.
Lift it up a little bit, yeah.
You know, heard a couple songs from them. You know, and this is just a fantastic melodic rock band out of Spain.
Yes.
You know, so it's just a fitting way to truly end what happened inside there. So the sadness was brought back up to where you're at when you're at Rocklahoma. And,
that's right.
You know, after that, went back out into the campgrounds and enjoyed the evening.
We had a pretty epic one, too.
Yeah.
You know?
That was actually my birthday was Memorial Day. So midnight that night was my birthday. Yeah. So everybody kept coming by. And
we handled it.
There was one point where there was like 30 or 40 people in our campground, and that's like capacity for our campground people.
I know, it's crazy. Yeah, we were like, who are some of these people? And you kind of need to get the fuck out of here. Who's that guy? He looks like he's 12. Get him out of here.
Are they drinking our liquor?
Yeah, no shit.
I'll give liquor to anyone that shows up if I think they don't look like a skis bag. But...
Yeah. But that was a great way to end it. Happy birthday, Trent.
Well, thank you.
You know, happy 28th.
Yeah, 28th birthday in style.
Plus 12. Anyways.
Well, so there you go. The last days of my 30s were at Rocklahoma.
That's
so
right.
You can't beat that.
Yeah. You can't bitch at all.
Yeah. And I actually rode it out into the morning. I saw the sun come up, and then I went to bed.
Yep. Same here.
Yeah.
Same here.
So that's what you do at Rocklahoma.
That's right. So there we go. That was our experience, people.
I mean, overall, I say it was one of the weirder ones because of the weather and the delays and the amount of bands I saw compared to other years. But it was also one of the most memorable ones because just how much fun we had with everybody we met.
That's right.
Or that we've known for years out there.
Yeah, it was it was a special one, that's for sure.
Yeah. So number 12 next year. Who's your pick? Right now.
Night Flight Orchestra is a headliner.
Oh my God, this will be amazing. Ugly Kid Joe is a headliner.
Ugly Kid Joe is a headliner.
Corrosion and Conformity on Axis.
No, Junkyard.
Chris Taylor, DMG. I want COC on the Darkside Stage. There you
go. Nice. Yes. God, who knows? Who knows?
Nah, I mean, legitimately, we mentioned earlier Alice Cooper, Sammy Hagar. Mm-hmm. There's several bands that have never played it like that. Shinedown, Avenged Sevenfold. Those bands have never been there.
I still think they could get Kiss to do it one year.
Yeah, I expect it to happen at some point.
Just saying.
Yeah. But anyway, if you've listened to all this, we appreciate it. Big time. Like I said at the beginning, every Monday night at 7 p.m. Central, www.1027wsnr.com. We stream live on there every week. Very thankful to them for including us in their family of shows that they put on. Then we're also on YouTube at The Thunder Underground. We've also got most episodes up there as well as a lot of stuff that's not on these episodes, like album reviews, concert reviews, every album in a row, which is a show we do where we talk about a band's entire catalog. SoundCloud.com/thunder-underground. All 127 previous episodes are on there.
That's right.
Yeah. Guys from
Shinedown,
Megadeth, Corrosion and Conformity, like you said, Kiss.
Yes, Gene Simmons.
Yeah.
CJ from Drowning Pool, Wino from The Obsessed, Reed from COC, Kirk from Crowbar, Mark from Trickster, guys from Europe. We've had guys from Warrant. I mean, He Is Legend. Miss May I, we do the whole thing.
Yeah. Avatar, King, The Sword, Truck Fighters.
Yep.
The list goes on. Get on
right.
there, check it out, look them up. We've had also, obviously, 2 previous Rocklahoma previews because we started this thing 2 years ago.
That's right.
Look us up on Facebook. /Seether Underground. Once again, go follow Switchbach and Troy. And is that it?
I think that's it.
All right. If you're going to Tom Kiefer tonight, come by and say hey. If not, we'll see you next week. We've got Mark Kendall from Great White coming up. His return to the podcast.
Nice.
Until next time.
Thunder Underground, y'all.